When I was looking at the Sunday sports schedule, I thought to myself, you want to know what I would really like to watch? I'd like to watch the Fever Seattle Storm game. And I truly believe this might be one of the first instances in my life that I made schedule plans around a Sunday WNBA game in the month of August. Because coming off of Caitlin Clark's Friday performance in the Fever's first game back from the Olympic break, Fever played the Mercury. Fever came back and beat the Mercury. Caitlin Clark had 29 points and 10 assists in the win. And you're thinking, what a good case for rest. I love rest. Never underestimate the power of a little R&R, an opportunity to actually reset. We've talked extensively about Caitlin Clark going straight from, and all of the rookies in the WNBA, having to go straight from the grueling season into March Madness, into the WNBA draft, into training camp, into the WNBA season, and then it's like whoosh, it takes off and it never ends. And now you have this Olympic break, and since Caitlin Clark was not on Team USA, she was able to be back, and her team worked throughout that off period, also got some much needed rest throughout that off period. So Sunday rolls around and I see that Caitlin Clark is 2 assists away from breaking the single season rookie assist record that was set by Tisha Penicheiro back in 1998. As a young girl who grew up playing basketball in the US, every coach said, you want to pass like Tisha, because she was the best passer in the game. Shout out the Sacramento Monarchs, gone but never forgotten. And Caitlin Clark was 2 assists from breaking her record. And so I was like, I would like to watch the end of the golf on TV. I would like to watch Caitlin Clark on TV. And so I sat down on my couch and I fired that up, and I was rewarded with a really fun game between the Fever and the Storm. Caitlin Clark tied the assist record in the first quarter. She broke the assist record in the second quarter. Some of the passes that she made yesterday were incredible. My favorite of which was a near full court pass to Kelsey Mitchell right here, where Caitlin Clark looks like a quarterback. And as of today, she sits with the most assists in the league. Her passing, here's the assist to Kelsey Mitchell. Caitlin Clark off the miss. That is a bullet to Kelsey Mitchell. She had one of those right around Brittany Griner on Friday, also to Kelsey Mitchell, I think. And that is a part of this. Like the rest of the Fever team, they're gelling. They're learning to play as quickly as Caitlin plays. Some of those bobbled passes and turnovers that Caitlin Clark had early in the season are turning into finishes by her team. They are playing well. But to watch Caitlin Clark yesterday figure out a way to help lead that team to a big win over a Seattle Storm team that has multiple All-Stars, multiple WNBA champions, and the best player on the court was Caitlin Clark. And it had me sitting there yesterday saying, the Rookie of the Year contest is over, and it is a storybook kind of season for Caitlin Clark, who came into her first year in the WNBA with everything to prove, with the highest of expectations, and she has knocked it out of the park. And this is a league that not only existed before Caitlin Clark's existence, but thrived before Caitlin Clark ever stepped foot in this league. But now, because of her play and because of what she is doing, it is set up for the foreseeable future to be must-watch TV on a Sunday afternoon, so that somebody like me decides to change what they are going to do on a weekend to sit down and watch a WNBA game. And I thought that was a really cool thing to experience. And that Fever team, they're going to make the playoffs. 8 teams make the playoffs, and the Fever have won their 2 games coming out of the Olympic break. Caitlin Clark looks fantastic. She's had 20-plus points in 5 of her last 6 games, along with the assists. But Kelsey Mitchell is cooking. Aaliyah Boston continues to grow. She nearly had a triple-double yesterday with a career-high 8 assists. You had Lexi Hull making every 3 she was taking with 22 points off the bench. It's all clicking for this Fever team. And I have to admit, I did not think that it would happen this quickly, and I am eating my words.
Didn't think it would happen. I didn't either. We're both eating them. I didn't think it would happen this quickly. And it's still, I think both teams still have 10 games left. What a great storyline down the stretch of the WNBA season. You'll always have your main storyline being, one of your main storylines rather being, hey, who's going to get the 1 seed? The Liberty, they ended up securing a playoff spot over the weekend.
First team to clinch.
First team in the WNBA.
Best team in the WNBA right now.
I don't know about all of that.
I'm saying it.
I will argue that it's the Lynx that are the best team. The Liberty got dudettes out there, cough, coffee, and Eskew. I need to see you do it before I start believing in you, dog. Like, I don't know what to say to you. But, like, that's a storyline. Who is the best team in the WNBA is a storyline. And over here, over here, not too far off, let's talk about this WNBA rookie race. Let's talk about how well the Fever are playing. Oh, my goodness, right? Like, that's what you need as a league. The more positive storylines your league can get, and Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are absolutely one of those things, the better it is for the overall growth and health of your sport. Now, with all of that being said, you've got Caitlin Clark, who is a threat both going to the rim and from deep, right? She's working on the mid-range stuff.
She had a couple nice mid-range finishes.
She's got a floater now that is like,
recent, eyebrow raising.
If that is what she did during the Olympic break, I think everybody who's affiliated with the Fever are glad that she didn't make the roster. So she's got a floater that is not quite as good. Well, not quite. It's flat out not as good as when she gets to the rim. Also not as good as when she's stepping back taking threes. But it is good enough to keep defenses honest.
Serviceable.
So you've got that. You've got a player in Aaliyah Boston who might now be like a legitimate triple-double threat game in, game out. What she's able to do after setting the screen, getting to the open spot on the court, middle of the court, and then making the next pass, making the right pass next. I was so impressed by that. She got doubled on the block also a time or two and was able to pass out of those to wide open players from beyond the arc, and they're making shots now. It used to be, hey, who's going to make shots? Mitchell will. Definitely put it in Mitchell's hand. Caitlin Clark will. Definitely put it in her hand. And then if you get an emergence, like, I don't know if this is repeatable, but what Hull was able to do out there.
She was the number 6 pick in the draft 3 years ago. I will say this.
Who do you think is going to go out there game in, game out, make 7 or 8 threes, right? Like, that's what I'm saying.
But it could be Lexi Hull. Like, if you can get that from Lexi Hull.
7 of 8.
I watched Lexi Hull.
7 of 8.
I watched Lexi Hull with my own eyeballs in person win her first state championship when she played at Central Valley High School in Spokane, Washington back in 2016. She and her sister, they're twins, Lacey and Lexi Hull, the Hull sisters, everybody flooded into that gym because they wanted to see these two girls who don't miss ever. And watching Lexi Hull and then going to Stanford, and then she's had some rough opening seasons in the WNBA. But in terms of the vision, she's not that right now. But even Caitlin Clark said yesterday she's making her Twitter account a Lexi Hull Stan account. Because, yeah, if Lexi Hull can make those shots consistently.
She can't. Nobody can.
What if?
7 of 8. No, there is no what if.
I tell you. You want to know what her and her sister's record was at Central Valley?
What?
102-6.
Okay, is that the WNBA?
No,
Then
but I'm saying it set the groundwork for somebody who eventually was the number 6 pick in the draft.
Could you go 3 of 8?
Fine.
But even doing that, either way it goes. 7 to 8, I think it's not. You think it is, whatever. Even if it's close to that.
Is she Steph Curry?
Steph Curry's not going 7 of 8 in the NBA. But if you are able to have 2 legitimate three-point threats outside of Caitlin Clark, and then you throw Caitlin Clark into the mix, along with what Aaliyah Boston is able to give you on the offensive side of the ball, that's a really tough team to defend.
And Aaliyah Boston being able to not be the number 1 option offensively. That was a question about Aaliyah Boston's game. Like, if you're not the number 1 option, what can you do in terms, especially in that half-court offense? And seeing her grow as a facilitator is huge. She's going to get rebounds. She gives you the post presence inside. And so it just helps the complete look of this team, who has talked about how important the off-season, not the off-season, but the off weeks with the Olympics were for them in building chemistry on and off the court, in going out and figuring out how to more consistently match Caitlin Clark's style of play, because she's going to be the driver for this team. And listen, we've said it all along, even when she was making the race at being the all-time points leader in college basketball, it's not her scoring. Her scoring is always going to be her calling card because it's the thing that you see, and she's going to pull it from the logo and you ooh and you ah, and that's really fun. But it's always been her passing that is what has made her game so impressive, and where she's been able to separate herself from not just being a shooter, but truly a leader of an offense and a true point guard in this situation for the Fever. So that game was fun. They beat the Storm by 17 points.
They leaned on them and then just...
The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m.